Oh, ragtime music. The old upbeat music genre that we all know and love. Unless you don't know what it is. Okay, for a brief description, ragtime music is essentially the middle child between jazz and the blues. Ragtime itself is short for ragged syncopations. So in a band, it means each instrument is playing its own rhythm, so it sounds hilarious and chaotic. And for a piano, it means each hand is playing at its own rhythm, so it sounds like this. Or it did sound like that. Okay, with the description out of the way, I would first like to tell you that I lied. When I said that ragtime music was essentially the middle child between jazz music and the blues, I was only really talking about classical rags. The works of Scott Joplin, James Scott, and Joseph Lamb would all mainly be considered classical rags, for they were more formulaic and structured. It is believed that common rags date back all the way to the 1820s-ish, made by the plantation slaves, most of the time just using a fiddle, a banjo for a bass, and sometimes an accordion. These plantation slaves were shipped from Africa all the way to America in low-quality, horrifically overcrowded cargo ships. The thing is, 90% of these slaves were male, so when they finally arrived to America, who were they going to have children with? Definitely not the Europeans. That would probably get them killed. So instead, they had children with the Native Americans. The Europeans didn't really care, just meant more slaves for them to abuse and work to death. Unfortunately, quite literally. On a lighter note, let's appreciate just the left hand of James Scott's Don't Jazz Me Rag. Something of note is that that's 4 on the floor rhythm, meaning that it almost never differs from back-to-back quarter notes. And do you know what other type of music has 4 on the floor rhythm for a bass? The reason why I chose James Scott was because both of his parents were freed slaves, and to quote Eric Jarvis, you can be 99% indigenous and still be considered black, all because it prevents Native Americans from making claims to the land and taking back what was stolen. Another example of this is Charlie Patton, who could have been up to 50% Cherokee. While he did play some ragtime, he was mainly known for being the founder of Delta Blues, a genre that would have been much easier to research and prove. Another example of this is Spade Cooley, who similarly to Charlie Patton didn't just play ragtime, but he did play down home rag with a fiddle, a banjo, which may have been a guitar for a bass, and an accordion. If that sounds familiar, it should. Down home rag, as well as some of Spade Cooley's other works, are the closest things I can find to the description of old common rags. Because for some reason, I just can't find recordings of slaves playing rags in the 1830s, and obviously Europeans had nothing to gain from making sheet music for it. As we're wrapping up, I'd like to say that I'm not trying to prove anything to you. I'd just like to show the high likelihood that indigenous people are not getting nearly enough credit for their part in ragtime music as well as many other genres, especially blues.